Okay. Mayor, I'd like to call to order the special meeting of the Elmwood Park Mayor and Council for April 23rd, 2026, to order at 4:00 p.m. On roll call, we have Council Members Fasolo,
Here.
Oswald,
Here.
Sampson,
Present.
Sheridan,
Here.
Troisi,
Here.
Council President Pellegrin,
Here.
Mayor Coletti.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Thank you. How's everybody doing here today? Out there, okay? Welcome to our special meeting, which will be dealing with introduction of our budget. With no further ado, let's get started. Whereas Chapter 231, the public laws of the state of New Jersey, require at the commencement of every meeting a statement of compliance be read by the presiding officer. Now, therefore, be advised that the meeting requirements for this meeting have been met by publishing a special meeting notice in the Record and Herald News, and by posting such notice on the Borough website, as well as in the office of the Borough Clerk and in a public place within the municipal building. Also by notifying interested citizens. Said notice was transmitted and posted on April 20th, 2026.
Okay, at this time, we have the following ordinance. Resolution R-162-26, introduce ordinance number 26-14 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled Calendar Year 2026, Ordinance to Exceed the Municipal Budget Appropriation Limits and to Establish a Cap Bank, NJSA 48:4-45.14, be passed and adopted on first reading. And be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, May 21st, 2026, at 7:00 p.m. or as soon thereafter as same can be heard, at which time any persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it resolved that the Borough Clerk, being she is hereby authorized to advertise a notice of introduction and final hearing as required by law.
May I have a motion on the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
First by Council President Pellegrin, second by Councilman Sampson. On roll call, we have Council Members Fasolo,
Yes.
Oswald,
Yes.
Sampson,
Yes.
Sheridan,
Yes.
Troisi,
Yes.
Council President Pellegrin.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R-163-26, introduction of the 2026 municipal budget. Be it resolved that the following statement of revenues and appropriations attached hereto constitute the local budget of the Borough of Elmwood Park, Bergen County, New Jersey, for the year 2026. Be it further resolved that the said budget be published on the borough's website at www.elmwoodparknj.us on April 24th, 2026, and that the hearing on the budget will be held at the municipal building on May 21st, 2026 at 7:00 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be reached. Be it further resolved that the governing body of the Borough of Elmwood Park does hereby approve the following as the budget for the year 2026.
May I have a motion on the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, Mayor, are we going to hear anything about this budget before introducing it?
Speak up.
I want to know what the tax percentage increase is that we're introducing in this budget. You have the public here, you're just going to pass it? I mean, introduce it?
So protocol is yes, the public does not have a say on the budget this evening. However, I'll answer what you want through the mayor.
Thank you.
But that's why it's an introduction only. The public hearing is on May 21st, that's when the public will have its say for the introduction. 44 years, the introduction, there's no back and forth with the public. They have their say at the public hearing. That's when it will be done. But I'll answer questions from the dais.
They get you a microphone.
Are you satisfied with that?
No, I want to hear the information of the budget that is going to be introduced.
Councilman,
I'd like the information about the budget that we're introducing. This way I know how my vote's going to be.
could you be more specific?
Yes, the
for us?
percentage of tax increase on the municipal level that's being presented tonight in this budget, since we had 0 meetings as a council before introducing a budget. But
Please. All right, Mr. Rubicano.
So the increase on a household, which is now been revaled, as you know, the revaluation is complete. That was a court order. That was not done by the Finance Committee, nor the mayor and council. You were ordered to do a reval. As a result of the reval, for the 1/3 of the homeowners in Elmwood Park, it's safe to say that the homes have gone down in taxes because the burden of many of the homes were on the commercial establishments, were on the homes. So the homes have gone down on the reval. Approximately 1/3 went down, 1/3 remained the same, and 1/3 went up. The shift went from the homeowner to the commercial. Your homes are now selling, or the average assessment is $632,000 a house. Doesn't mean you're going to get that money, but that is what the comp showed the courts. Your tax point is now $441,000. Your increase in this budget is 3 line items that make up the entire amount. Those entire amounts are reflected with the group insurance, which is up 36%. And if you notice in the newspapers, you haven't seen many towns do an introduction to the budgets. We're one of 12 that I'm aware of right now in Bergen County. We were very successful through the chief, the BA, and the Finance Committee behind me, where we made cuts upon cuts through the Finance Committee, which is the proper way we do it here in Elmwood Park, those who have the control right now. And those cuts got us into the cap. That cap is still not being borne in many of the communities. As a result, layoffs are being done through Civil Service. The 45-day layoff notice is being done, but not here in Elmwood Park. Your finances are fine. And with that being said, the average increase is $400 on a house for the assessed value of $632,000.
Roy, is it safe to say that if we haven't been plagued like we have been in the last 3 years with enormous increases in the health insurance, garbage collection, recycling, that we'd be flat right now? There wouldn't be no increase?
You would be flat, and to be transparent, less than $100 to cover everybody, Mayor. I think that's more than fair.
So basically, what that's telling me and should be telling the public out there is that this ship is being run right financially.
100%, and I can prove it just with the surplus alone. We are building up that surplus again, Mayor. So in this year's budget, we decreased the water utility surplus by $831,000 from last year. Your surplus itself has been reduced another couple $100,000. You're already preparing for next year's budget today.
Yeah, and just for the public's edification, I have some items here that I asked our BA to give me some numbers on things that during the course of the year we do work on. It might interest some of you to hear it. For instance, our vehicle fleet, switching from Enterprise to 911 leasing, All-American Ford, resulted in saving $190,000. Cleaning services, we went out, put it out to bid, we saved $9,000. Department operating budgets. Each department, we went into each department and said, trim your budgets a little, see if you can curtail your spending, and we got $5,000 back from each department, which resulted in $55,000. And there's a host of savings here from our police department that goes into $500,000 that it would take me 2 hours to explain it. In addition, we have our Department of Public Works. 2 employees resigned, 1 retired, resulting in a total salary savings of approximately $205,000, replacing all 3 positions at an entry-level salary would only cost us $135,000. So we're doing our job here. We're not falling asleep at the wheel. And also, an item that this council worked on recently was putting a moratorium on the matching grants. These grants are meant to go dollar for dollar with the town and are useful if you need the item. We've been pretty well involved in taking care of all our parks to pretty much all up to speed, safety-wise, aesthetic-wise. So we don't need no matching grant right now that would force us to put money out where and foolishly spend it.
Roy, can I just get you said $400 on the
An average
average, which is 632 or 441?
632,010, the average assessment on a 1 and 2 family home.
Okay.
Average.
And what is that as a percentage to the municipal budget?
It's doubled on the reval, so your home went from 331 to 632. I'm not sure what you're asking.
The percentage, the tax increase in a percentage.
Well, last year, I do have that. So last year, average home went up 268. This year, we're going to 396.
So it would be safe to say that this is a 16% tax increase?
Well, if you're using the percentage on the amount to be raised, it is, but the homeowner's not going to see that kind of an increase.
Correct. But
It's going to be
if
the
my
commercial
house-
establishments.
Correct, but if my house went down, let's say $1,000 in taxes, and my value went up to, let's say, 800,000, right? Then my taxes would be going up about $600,
No, 400,
$400.
right.
Okay.
Moving along.
I just to the council, because I appreciate the job that Roy does and that our BA does on getting the budget done, and I know it's extraneous work. That's why I didn't get into finance. I'm not, in love with numbers. Roy, I know you do this for a lot of years. You must love numbers. But I just want to say, as a council person and to this council, that if you have been here for more than 3 years, this is not the budget process that I'm used to. This is not the budget process that this council should be getting used to as a council. We usually sit at a table, and I could quote Councilman Golombek last year, that we are just going to keep doing this every year and every year, that now this is 3 years in a row with a double-digit tax increase, year after year, that we're sitting here and just accepting what's presented to us. And I don't appreciate that as a homeowner. It is not the borough employees' fault. It is this council in a smoke and mirror budget. That's all I have to say.
Well, let me ask you something, Mr. Fasolo. You say that we're not doing our due diligence here as a council. What would you change? I mean, these proceedings, that's what they're for, to break it down. This is only an introduction
This
here.
is an introduction, but before we introduce a budget, as a council person for the last 7 years, we have always sat in multiple meetings to go over the budget. What are we cutting? What are we increasing? What do our finances look like? And we just haven't had that, Mayor. We haven't had that, and it's not at a fault to the newest council people, to Joe, to Pam, to even Terry and Eric. As veteran council people, and Mayor, you've been here for double-digit years, just like the tax increase. Double-digit years, this is just not how it's supposed to work. I feel blindsided. I know that we had the opportunity to meet with Roy on our own, and I did. I went, and I saw this, and it just doesn't make sense to me as a council person that we get the budget, accept it, and move on. That's just not the way it's supposed to
Did I hear
go.
you say you had a
I did have a-
meeting?
yeah.
You had a meeting with Roy,
Correct.
and you're still complaining?
Of course I'm still complaining. It's
Okay.
16% tax increase, and I had to seek out a meeting on my own with not as a council to go over the budget. How is that
Well,
even
you're
normal?
You're complaining that
okay.
you didn't have enough
Every
meetings.
time somebody says something's wrong with the way you guys do things, it's a complaint. First it was the 0% for 2 years. Now it's 16%. Last year was 12. Then the year before that was 9. All right.
Well, just tell us what to do to change that. What would,
When I go over the budget on my own, this is just an introduction, right? I will present ways we could cut the budget that would probably get that down to maybe 7 or 8%. Who knows? But if I don't see it, I can't help you.
Hopefully, you're right. Moving
Yeah,
along.
Mayor, I'd like to just say, Mayor, excuse me, that, you know, I'm not a fan of percents. So you heard Roy, Mr. Rigatano say that the average tax is going to go up $400. So that's $100 a quarter. Nobody wants anything to go up. The factors that are out of our control limit what we can do. So garbage, pensions, and benefits, insurances, totally out of our control. The state has turned their back to us as far as benefits are concerned. Pensions are out of control. And again, garbage collection, that contract is coming up now. So keeping it at $100 a quarter for your average homeowner, I think is commendable. I think this budget is a strong budget and it speaks for itself. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, can I say something?
Yes, please.
I would just like to say, we had ample opportunity to meet with Roy. I know most of us did, and we sat with him for a while, asked a lot of questions. Again, what Councilman Sampson says and the mayor, there are always like 4 things that are responsible for the increase in the budget, and those are things that are out of our hands, like garbage, recycling. Those are numbers that we have to deal with. We have a contract coming up in July. Roy is going to bid for that and see where we are with that. Maybe the cost can go down, maybe we can go with a different company, I don't know. But right now, we're in the middle of a contract, so we can't change that. Insurance, we couldn't change that either. Okay, so there's plenty of things. Health insurance, like we said, went up $6.6 million, correct, Roy? So, I mean, there are things that are in contract that we have no authority to change. We're all taxpayers here, we're homeowners. It happens to us too, and our staff does the very best to keep it at a minimum cost for everybody, and they've worked really hard. And the last page that the mayor just read, that we saved almost, with the list you read, Mayor, I think it was over $800,000 they found a way to trim the budget. So nobody likes when things go up. Nobody likes when your public service goes up, when your gas goes up, right? But there's some things that we can't change, and this group works very, very hard to make it the best it can be, not to hurt our residents. We do the best we can. And I know the chief's been working very hard too with shared services. More shared services are coming in the future to also give us some relief. So we just want to say that we had ample time to talk to him, and I get Mr. Councilman Fasolo would have liked, if he would have liked to have a meeting, he could have requested one. He could have said, I'm requesting, he could have sent an email to the mayor and council and said, I request a meeting with Roy. I know we have individual time with him, but I want a meeting. I've never saw an email requesting that. So if you really wanted it that bad, I think you should have just requested it. Nobody's ever denied us a meeting, the chief, Roy, or anybody. So that's my little take on everything. We're sorry that things go up, but that's the world, and we're trying to get them down the best we could. Nobody's trying to hurt anybody. We're doing the best we can, and I'm not done yet, please. I'm very proud of our CFO, and I'm very proud of our chief, and I know the mayor's been working with them too, and all our department heads have been working very hard to trim their budgets. So that's where we are. That's my take on it, and I know even in the future, we're working on more things that when Major League Baseball comes in, that's going to be a whole nother thing with more revenue and taxes coming in. So we have a lot of good things coming our way that can decrease some of these increases. That's all I have to say right now.
Thank you.
Every year that this majority has been in power, I have asked for budget meetings and the budget to be reviewed in different ways, in different meetings, and line by line, and that has gone on deaf ears every single year.
Where is your request on tape or on an email? Show it to me, because
I
don't
will
recall
get
it.
the last 3 budget hearings, Lorraine, Miss
Did you-
Councilwoman
did you-
Pellegrin, I'm talking, Councilwoman Pellegrin, I am on tape requesting Mr. Golombek, former Councilman Golombek, and I sat here for at least 45 minutes last budget introduction with the same argument that we're making now. This does not change. This council has zero regard for the rest of the council in terms of looking at the budget, in terms of trying to see where we could cut. predicting line by line, like every year, this is the same thing. I'm requesting a meeting and a different budget process every year, and it's just not done by this council.
How far back do you say you go with this?
At least 3 years.
At least three. And I believe the majority of the council was different three years ago.
Yeah, you had the majority for 3 years now, Mayor.
Yeah, so it's at least 3 years. Prior to that, everything was okay?
I mean, with the budget process was the budget process. We sat down and did the budget line by line, yes.
I don't recall that.
I do.
Councilman Fasolo, you could talk about it last year, what you have wanted to do last year and maybe the prior year, but why didn't you this year, if it meant so much to you, send out an email or at a work meeting or a public meeting, say, I want to pick a date tonight to sit down as a council and go over that. You did not do that. What you talked about last year or prior years is one thing. If you wanted to sit down with this budget this year, then why didn't you say formally at a meeting, I request, please pick a date, council. I want a date that we can meet with Mr. Rigatano, the chief, and the entire council to go line by line. You did not do that request this year. You did not. What you've done in the past is the past. If I wanted a date for something and something was so urgent to me, I would say, Mayor and Council, what date are we picking? Because I want to go over this before we have the meeting on the 23rd. You did not do that.
Councilwoman, you were on this council for a long time and you know, on a different party at certain times, right? Yeah. Okay. When you were sitting on the other side of the majority, now that you went on the other side of the majority, so you're still in the majority, how did we used to do the budget? How did we used to sit down? We didn't have to ask to go over the finances. The finances.
One at a time, please.
The finances of the borough. Our duty as a governing body is to review the finances of the borough, and that has not been done in the past 3 years.
Then if you're so, last thing, Mayor,
No, go
sorry.
ahead. Okay.
I'm very passionate about this because if I want something, I sit in front of the council. Let me finish now.
I'm
Okay, you don't have to bring up what
I did
parties
not
I was
speak.
in, everything.
Solo, please.
All you have to do is say, Mayor and Council, I want to pick a date now before the meeting on the 23rd. I felt this way last year, I felt this way the year before, so I don't want to go into this again. I want to pick a date. You did not pick a date because you know why? Because you want to complain about it. You don't want to do something about it. You want to complain that we didn't have a meeting because if you wanted a meeting, you would have requested a meeting in writing, so you had it in writing that you requested it.
Last time I requested for a meet, last time I did this, and I did request for a meeting, I was told, you could have called the CFO on your own time. Why didn't you call the CFO on your own time? So I did this year. So, no, it wasn't. It was a tax increase. So I did, and I met with the CFO this year, because that's the process that you guys and the majority have offered us.
Okay. Well, you did have that opportunity. Of course. All right, moving along. Any other discussion?
Yes, I just have a couple of quick questions, if you don't mind, Mr. Mayor. I just noticed that on the revenue and appropriation summary, I guess it's only this one sheet, so we can only go off of what we see. So I apologize that I can't hone in on it. There are, as Councilman Fasolo said, there's no line items, but I did notice that it's all 2020-25 to 26, revenue loss of 1.73 million and a loss of surplus of $500,000, so that's 2.23 million, but taxes on line item 4A go from 23.6 million to 27, which is about $4 million increase, 18%. I just wanted to know, do we know why we lost that much in revenue and why taxes have to go up by 4 million? Is it because we also lost the revenue, or is it only because of those other increases you're talking about?
We also lost some of the revenue as well.
$2.2 million in 1 year.
800,000 was, we reduced the surplus for the water, and we reduced the fund balance by 635. So it'd be $1.5 million surplus that we are saving for another day.
Where is that reflected? I apologize, I'm not seeing this $1.5 million. I see
You would go to
surplus change in
page 13
Where's
of your
page-
packet.
I don't have 13 pages in my packet, I'm sorry.
It's an unlucky number, too.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to get it to you.
Yeah, I mean, this is the only thing that I'm being presented with to vote on today, is this one page of revenue and appropriation summary. I know that the public's going to get their chance to look at this, but, I mean, I have to agree with Councilman Fasolo. It seems really strange that a council of 6 elected plus a mayor elected would choose only to discuss this in Finance Committee and then expect that other members of the council should have to beg or ask for these meetings. It should just be assigned. There should just be a scheduled meeting like this. I mean, I get that this is just an introduction, but, I mean, you get 15 seconds to really introduce somebody to something, and by then you've already made your decision. So I get that, we could have individually, a one-on-one, met with the CFO. I mean, maybe individual residents could have also done that, but the fact is, I looked back through past meeting summaries on YouTube, and AI does a very good job at summarizing YouTube videos for you. If you go back and you look at every budget meeting the past few years, Councilman Golombek and Councilman Fasolo did bring it up. As a matter of fact, it's half of the transcript in those last budget meetings the past 3 years where the minority party people had requested a little bit more information, a little bit more time, not at the very end of the time frame when we have to, by law, pass this budget, after we already agreed to pass a temporary budget in the beginning of the year, which in and of itself was a little bit unprecedented. Maybe it wasn't. I've only been up here a couple of months. But if I am looking at this and I see you're raising taxes by $4 million, 18%, and it was like that last year and it was like that the year before, then the idea that the stewardship of, okay, we moved a little bit in our surplus, I mean, double-digit tax increases 3 years in a row, yes, maybe it's insurance and all that other kind of stuff, but I mean, that doesn't sound like we're planning ahead for it. I'm just wondering why we are just going to eat, just expected to eat a $2.2 million revenue loss, not be told where that revenue loss comes from, a $4 million increase in the local taxes, not to mention what these folks are going to have to pay when library taxes and school taxes kick in. We're already telling people to pay 50% of their mortgage in a tax bill every month. And yes, it sounds small to say $100 per quarter, but that's $100 per quarter on top of the thousands of dollars. I mean, Elmwood Park already ranks 10th in tax increases, and we're probably going to rise up there after this. So as much as I appreciate that this is just an introduction, I'm going to have to side with Francesco here and say that I can't vote yes on this, and I know that it's going to pass on that issue alone, and I apologize for anybody that disagrees with me, but I spoke to voters and I spoke to people, and they don't like this. The past 3 years, it's been different. You can tell me all you want that I should have been more proactive, but at the same time, this is a public organization. This is a council who gets their power from the people and are voted on by that. The fact that this budget was kept only in Finance Committee and that we would have had to make special requests to see it, that doesn't hold water with me. And I appreciate the work that the CFO has done. I did get to meet with him for a couple hours before this meeting, and I did get to request a meeting 3 weeks ago, and he was unavailable for 3 weeks prior to this. And I guess maybe that's on me, but the fact is, I do not know what any of these numbers come from. You could have handed me a piece of paper that said revenues and appropriations for Toys R Us, and I would have to accept it because I'm being not forced to.
Well, Councilman, there's still time. This is introduction. If you would like to set up a meeting with our CFO, why don't you do it right now
I am
and
formally
answer your
requesting a
questions?
meeting with the mayor and council that we have an actual meeting, a public debate. I want to look at the budget. I want to see the line items. I want to see where all this stuff is going, just like Francesco asked. And if that requires making a formal motion and requiring a second, then I'd like to see if you would vote along with that. Let's have another special meeting. You called this meeting 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we were told that we were having this meeting. Come on, let's have another one. I'm down for it.
Well, you had the notice of 2 weeks, so if you have any questions, let's get them resolved. I'll give you that much. We should have our questions resolved. Anybody else in discussion?
Mayor, may I?
Yes.
I know that there's some concern about line items. Councilman Oswald, did you get a packet like this from the CFO?
I believe I got one on the mail, maybe? No, this is all I got.
Okay. Roy,
I'll
could
share
you
mine with you if
please
you like.
provide Councilman
Yeah, I had it
Oswald with a
yesterday,
packet?
but, we had a
Thank you.
cross with the timing, but it was prepared. I have it inside. I'll get it for you.
Okay, no further discussion? Call the roll, please.
First by Council President Pellegrin, second by Councilman Sampson. On roll call, we have Councilmembers Fasolo,
No.
Oswald,
No.
Sampson,
Yes.
Sheridan,
Yes.
Troisi,
Yes.
Council President Pellegrin? Motion carries. Notice is hereby given that the budget and tax resolution was approved by the council members of the Borough of Elmwood Park, County of Bergen, on April 23rd, 2026. A hearing on the budget and tax resolution will be heard at the Municipal Building on May 21st, 2026, at 7 o'clock p.m., at which time and place objections to the budget and tax resolution for the year 2026 may be presented by taxpayers or other interested parties. Copies of the budget are available in the office of Shanae Morris, Borough Clerk, at the Municipal Building, 182 Market Street, Elmwood Park, New Jersey. Phone number 201-796-1457, during the hours of 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
May I have a
Next-
motion
wait,
on the, oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I thought you were finished.
No, sorry.
You
Resolution.
can't take a long pause in between.
Sorry, I had to catch my breath.
It screws me up if you take a long pause.
Sorry.
You gotta go without breathing. Just keep going.
Okay. Next resolution, through you, Mayor, will read by title only. Resolution R-164-26, governing body certification of compliance with the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission's enforcement guidance on the consideration of arrest and conviction records and employment decisions under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
Now, may I?
Yes.
May I have a motion on the resolution?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
First by Council President Pellegrin, second by Councilman Fasolo. On roll call, we have Council members Fasolo,
Yes.
Oswald,
Yes.
Sampson,
Yes.
Sheridan,
Yes.
Troisi,
Yes.
Council President Pellegrin.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, this concludes my portion of the meeting. I will turn it over to you for the public hearing.
May I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Second.
All in favor? Anyone from the public here to speak on anything they wish? If not, I'll close the public portion.
Thanks, Chief.
By now. My name is Doris Fletcher, 124 Phillip Avenue. Everybody knows who I am. First question is, I had called yesterday about an agenda. I was told I couldn't get an agenda till tonight. I came in this morning, went to the office, and Angela was polite enough to give me a half of agenda. How come this agenda wasn't on that people could pick it up or on the website? Because it wasn't there. Why was this so confidential or whatever? Because, it should have been able that we could get it ahead of time, not wait till the last minute to get it. And luckily I was home from work today, otherwise I would not be here for 4 o'clock. And that I think is another inconvenience, because I had a couple of people call me and say, why 4 o'clock and why not 7 o'clock, like a normal meeting would be? Can you tell me why he's made it for 4 o'clock and not 7?
Mayor, if I may,
Yeah.
just about the agenda, it was published on the borough website.
I didn't see it. Okay.
Under,
Okay.
agenda, it was
When was
there.
it, when was it put on, though?
It was put on Tuesday.
Okay. Can you tell me why the meeting was today at 4 o'clock?
That I can't answer. I did not
Could
schedule.
somebody answer me why this meeting was called at 4 o'clock and not 7 o'clock tonight? So other
Mayor, I can
residents...
answer that. It was just recommended from the professionals and circulated to the mayor and council, and everybody was available and agreed. So that's why this isn't a normal meeting date for us. So to get everybody on the same page, that was the time that worked for everyone.
Okay, because a lot of residents are upset about it, that it wasn't put on, at 7 o'clock tonight. Okay, I saw a lot of arguing among this council. Mr. Fasolo, Mrs. Pellegrin, we are all friends. Every one of us sits up here. We're all residents of this town. Everyone was elected for the residents of this town, not for I did this and I did that and you did this and you did that. Yous are here all only for the town, the residents. Not to put anybody up, better than anybody else, because you're not. Everybody's exactly the same. Lorraine, you know that. We sat on the Board of Education for all these years. We're all the same. Francesco, we've been through a lot of stuff. The Elks, everybody else here, we've all been the same, and that's what we're here for the residents. And the money that you're saying, Roy, I know you're going to get mad at me, but $400, it's a lot for our seniors. You're talking a lot of seniors that can't afford now what they're paying, and now you're asking them to pay another $400 over what they're normally paying. You know, could there be something? Because I know seniors that go, strangers helping strangers to get food every week, you know, paying their bills, paying their medication, trying to get food on their table. It hurts. And when now this council is going to charge $400 more, it's a burden for them. I know how it is. It's being a senior citizen, what it's like to pay your taxes and pay, you know, everything else that you have to do. Bob, you know how it is too. It's rough. It's not easy out there no more. Medication for people are very high. I think that there should be something that this council could do to lower the thing for the seniors. You know, even if it's $50, $100, make it $50 a quarter, you know, do something for them.
You need to understand, Mayor,
Right.
they speak.
Yeah, sure, sure.
So you need to understand, before we came here today, the Finance Committee, the Chief, and myself, that is the form of government for the borough. I meet with the Finance Committee first, and with the BA every day. You would have had a much higher tax increase if it wasn't for the input specifically of the Finance Committee. So we already went from 6 to 5 to 4 without a layoff. And that's what you're going to read in the next 3 weeks in the Bergen Record. Layoffs and jeopardizing public safety, which the chief is also the police chief as well. And the utmost of the entire council is safety first.
No, I agree that.
That's where the money is. The
May-
money is in safety.
Mayor, if I may. Doris,
Yes, please.
I just want to clarify. I don't like percentages. I started out when I said that. And Roy is talking about 400 a year. So it's $100 a quarter.
Right.
Okay, I just want to,
No, I know that's $400,
Okay.
$400, you know, a year, but
Right.
that's still $100 every 3 months
I-
that, you know, seniors don't have.
I-
Seniors don't have it.
I get it.
If they're going to,
Understand.
you know, strangers helping strangers and trying to make ends meet other places and not getting medications. I know people that are not getting medication because they can't afford to live in their houses, but they have no place to go if they sell it. Where are they going to go? It's just the point that, you know, there's got to be something done in this town.
Doris, are you aware of the senior property tax freeze program?
Yes.
Okay.
But what do you call it, you know? But that's my thing on, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, may I
Thank you.
just wanna-
Anyone else care? to-
Mayor?
What?
Mayor?
Yes.
It's actually a question for Roy. Can you clarify something? I understand that the average increase is $400 per household, but isn't 1/3 of the households already receiving a significant decrease? So even with that 400, the net effect is still going to be a tax decrease to, you know, a good percentage of residents, if I understood it correctly.
That's why the finance chair. That's why you're finance chair. You're absolutely correct. That $400 is not going to be the entire town. In fact, 1/3 are going to be receiving, and I know because I went through the taxes, some people are going down as much as $3,000 a house. So the worst scenario is $400 for those that were assessed at a much lower rate for the last 20 years in Elmwood Park. So now the courts recognize that, and they ordered us to do the revow. So you are 100% correct. Not everyone is getting an increase. In fact, 1/3 are going down.
Thank you. Any further discussion on that? Anyone else from the public here to speak? If not, I'll close the public portion. May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you for participating.